Hello and welcome. I'm Shadowcoast, and in this video we'll be reviewing the latest dev posts on Necromunda Underhive Wars, covering the numerous environments we'll be battling. Before reviewing the various environments, I am trying to grow my channel and appreciate a subscribe and like if you enjoy this content. To jump to specific sections of this video, please check out this description below as I will be using the chapter function. Now on to the environments we can look forward to in Underhive Wars. The devs provided screenshots for the majority of the battlescapes we can look forward to, which we'll be reviewing and discussing in detail. Now the post outlines that all 26, yes, that's right, 26 maps. Clearly the teams have been hard at work, and the fact that they have so many maps gives me hope they might be close to launching the game by the end of summer. As a reminder, summer officially ends September 22nd, which is a lot further away than I originally thought, but the internet doesn't lie. Now all 26 maps will be playable in each of the title's 3 game modes, which I discussed in a separate video and you can jump to by clicking the little eye in the top right. Each of the 26 is a handcrafted environment that has been specifically tailored to provide us with meaningful tactical opportunities across the various scenarios and objectives we'll be trying to accomplish. And that's very clear in reviewing both the video as well as the screenshots. The devs go on to explain that the maps are specifically designed to support various types of engagements. Some are designed for brutal close quarters engagements, while others are sprawling vertical complexes. All the maps should include jaw-dropping vistas, and many have been recreated based on iconic landscapes of the Underhive. It's clear watching the video and reviewing the screenshots that the development team truly tried to stay true to the source materials, yet also try to ensure they could expand upon the content to fit into their vision, especially with this idea of leveraging verticality. Before reviewing the various screenshots and battlescapes, overall the environments look amazing and varied. While I enjoyed Mordheim, one of my main complaints is that every map looked and felt similar, even though they had different designs and starting points and, tactical differences you had to manage. Now, looking at the screenshots and reviewing the video, Underhive is going to contain not only varied maps, but these maps will be critical in the tactical decisions we will have to make. For example, if we were battling enemy gangs on the corroded catwalk, it will require a fundamentally different strategy. I would argue one lending more to range combat than say if we were to take them on in the gunshell yard, where we probably want a mix of both melee and range weaponry. All of this is to say I'm very excited to jump into this game, and it appears that the devs have been hard at work not only crafting beautiful environments, but also have spent countless hours and effort to remain true to the story lore and expand upon it based on what they're trying to accomplish in their game mechanics. Finally, I did raise an eyebrow at the previous post regarding verticality, but now looking at these maps, I better understand what they meant and how it might be used in practice. And I do believe these maps support this idea of trying to gain the high ground to get that advantage. Now for the first screenshot, we have Synth Still, which is a complex link of derelict pipes and ducts of endless fields of immense cisterns that hold dangerous chemicals produced and discharged by the hive's manufactoriums. This map looks to include some verticality and appears to be larger in size from what I can discern. Next we have the Cargo Dome Arena. This was once rumored to be a prime hauling site for stolen freight, but is now an infamous arena used by Underhive gangs in ruthless and merciless contests of survival. Definitely a place where fortunes are won and lives are lost. This map appears to be slightly smaller and more focused on closer quarters engagement, true to its namesake. The next map is called Hangar, and was once bustling transport center filled with the noise of endless movement of cargo. This ramshackle hangar is now a locus of violence among the gangs vying for what little remaining scrap is salvageable. The scale is harder to tell, but seems like a map to deploy a mix of range and melee type fighters. We're followed by Hangar Roof, which is a towering structure that was once walked by the logistics overseers responsible for managing the movement of goods below. This is now a heavily contested vantage point and regularly fought over by the gangs wishing to survey and control the surrounding territory. This map clearly lends itself to ranged fighters, assuming you can command the high ground. It will also be interesting to see if we can fight and establish our gang's headquarters on certain maps or areas. If so, this seems like an ideal potential place to lay down roots. Switchyard is a connection hub between several ancient rail lines with a rotating dome that also contains storage warehouses and infrastructure facilities vital to transport linking hives into different sectors. The image doesn't provide too much detail as to the combat environment, but seems like a smaller map that might favor closer combat deployment. The Switchyard Alley appears to be a larger map and honestly looks like the most fun and challenging from what I've seen so far. It's a former housing block that was claimed by machines and industry and has witnessed countless generations of flowing equipment, merchandise, and workers. It seems like I'd prefer to deploy a mix of range and melee units attempting to maintain high ground advantage with my range team while my melee teams try to sneak up behind or around the enemy. Next is Switchyard Roof, which also seems like an interesting map, and those central structures seem ideal for range units. This flooded facility once acted as the nerve center of all transport operations held in its dome. We're followed by the Gun Shell Factorum, which is a complex that once produced untold numbers of macro cannon shells that fuel the edifice-sized gun batteries used by the Imperial Navy warships. It's clear the devs are staying true to the lore and have captured the gritty underworld not only visually but emotionally. Yes, I'm giddy with excitement. That brings us to the Gunshelled Yard, which is an industrial waste pile filled with abandoned ordnance and rubble from the foundry above. Gangs stalk these halls eager to scrape a living from the mountains of discarded shells amidst the fumes of molten alloy. It's unclear exactly how this map will play, but seems to lend itself to more melee-focused deployments. The abandoned infirmary is a complex that once housed medical amenities and supplies and specialized equipment to provide healthcare services that ensured each sector could maintain its workforce and, more importantly, its production quota. This seems unique as part of the map appears to have a close quarters area combined with a larger exterior area to play in. Next, we have the Paladite Commissary, which is a fortified strategic location guarding access to other sectors. These used to be occupied by the garrison of Hive Primus enforcers, but have long been abandoned and now serve as staging grounds for gangs bold enough to claim them. This map definitely lends itself to a headquarters type location, and will be interesting to see how that is handled, or if there are specific maps that contain headquarters, or if any map could technically be a headquarter. The discharge station is an array of unstable plasma coils that used to be discharged into massive power cells. The frequent energy surges were known to attract exotic and lethal underhive creatures. The bottom right portion raises an eyebrow, and we'll see if there are more than just other gangers we need to worry about. The Arboretum used to be a dome that was dedicated to the growth of specific plants and their fungal parasites that were used for the production of various chemical components. While I'm sure it's nice to see a little green, we can't forget these plants are often lethal and toxic, and it'll be interesting if that plays any role in our pathing or movement. The Stinger Mold Sprawl was originally constructed as a docking station used to triage and dispatch organic cargo such as exotic fungi species. The Gear Factorium saw many generations of workers spend their whole lives ensuring this factory's giant smelters, conveyors, and metalworking machines never ceased to operate. Now abandoned, this looks to be a hot environment. Speaking of which, it'll be interesting to see if there are any other modifiers that we'll need to account for based on the map we're battling in. Several of these maps appear to run hot, while others appear to run cold. Nautica Station used to be a facility dedicated to purifying water and support the populace of the hive. Many of these have been long abandoned as the hive grows and new sectors are added on top of old ones. Heat Sink Epsilon 73 seems to be another hot map and seems to favor ranged units given the map layout, from what I can tell. Water still contains enormous receptacles and treatment facilities that were built to collect, decant, and process the precious water found in the noxious liquids that percolate in the frozen and still wastes of the hive's entrails. Unlike Heatsink, this seems to be on the cooler side, which will be interesting to see if armor and unit deployment has any impact whatsoever based on the map and the environment and the weather. The chemical pools are an inevitable byproduct of the industry above, containing untold amounts of toxic and irradiated chemicals. These extremely dangerous byproducts are reprocessed to extract any possible remaining value. In the bottom left, we see some possible creature that might add some interesting complexity to combat, or maybe it's just there for aesthetics. Next, we have the abandoned railway, which was once a vital rail line for the transport of goods. Now only the gangs walk these halls, eager to harness the energy they still produce. The maintenance shaft is one of many utility shafts containing sewage mains, water filters, and purifiers. Many of these are claimed by gangs, using them as hideouts against rivals and enforcers. Now we have the conduit P9 2030 208, which is a ruptured cooling conduit that has transformed this maintenance tunnel into an inhospitable frigid death trap, though the remaining power cell has allowed gangs to keep using it as a place to conduct illicit operations. The sludge sea is a byproduct of industrial effluence that flows downhive from miles above, creating its own path. Structural erosion and toxic miasma are constant hazards in the Underhive's forgotten tunnels, and items we probably need to look out for. The corroded catwalk is one of the many Underhive is one of many in the Underhive, consisting of a series of elevated passages that connect adjacent sectors. These are often occupied by gangs as strategic choke points. And from what I can tell, it does seem to appear to lend itself to more ranged combat, although if you can line up on melee and hop to that plank, I'm sure you could eviscerate a ranged unit if you had a strong melee one. Finally, we're left with this blurry image and a cipher we have yet to decode. What do you think it is? Could it be one of the many hideouts or headquarters we might have to battle dominance for? Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, I appreciate a subscribe and thumbs up if you found this content helpful. I'll let the full video play after this and really appreciate you watching. We hope to see you in future videos. Shadowcoast out and enjoy.